You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Sports Coma with Big C with the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
Welcome. We're now rocking with the Sports Coma live edition. Sports Coma live. We're coming at you Friday, man. TGI, thank God it's Friday. Friday, January the 15th, 5 days into the new year, 2018. This is podcast 127. Of course, we'd like to thank y'all for joining us in our live edition. And via Skype is DC. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm good, man. Anxious, ready to get this playoff run on the ground and move.
Hey man, I'm with you on that, brother. This is a big deal for the Saints, and in this particular podcast, this volume of the Sports Coma Live will cover and preview the Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. We're going to preview that matchup today. We'll be going through a 1-hour podcast giving you all the latest information that we have on the Saints matchup with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of interesting stories, by the way, that we'll cover. And on today's breakdown, we'll cover the stats, facts. We'll give you some interviews from Sean Payton, Manti Te'o on what he thinks about the Carolina Panthers. Interesting news articles that we'll go over, like Reggie Bush is coming home. Not to play, of course, but according to sources on Twitter, Reggie Bush and several Saints will be on the field pregame. Might be the situation. They might lead the team out to the field or something like that to rile the fans.
Come out with the bat, man. Bring the wood.
Hey, Reggie looked good enough to actually come and actually play for the Saints, man.
I think they could sign him as a third back. That would be a nice insurance policy.
Yeah, it would be. Also, we'll talk about a little bit about that later on, and we'll also discuss who wins this game and why. We'll go in depth with that. The disparity between analysts saying whether Drew Brees or the running game should win the game, and we'll talk about the balance. I think it's a mixture of two. We'll get into that today. Most certainly. Saints running game, how effective will it be against that tough Carolina defense? We'll get into that. The tight end, will it be an issue in this game? Tight end has been pretty bad. I mean, without Kobe Fleener, he's on IR. Man. He had his injuries, although we think Human is supposed to play this game, so that will definitely help the Saints out blocking wise.
He's back, man.
So
he's healthy now.
Good. So we'll get into that and see how effective the tight end role will serve the Saints in this wildcard matchup.
That's a big, subtle but big addition.
We'll go over Saints injuries. We'll talk about whether the Saints' injuries to the D-line, how that be impactful. We'll have DC to give his injury report, who's active, who's non-active. We'll talk about Cam Newton's effect on the game and what we got to do to beat Cam, stopping him from passing or stopping him from running. We'll go into that as well. And also that ferocious Carolina running game. If the Saints had an Achilles heel to anything, it would be to the Carolina Panthers running game. That's something that we definitely have to prevent from them to do. McCaffrey and Stewart, and of course Cam Newton as well.
The NFL has a deficiency against the Carolina run game. I mean, they're cheaters, man. They got 3 running backs.
And Cam leads the team. He leads the team in rushing anyway. That's strange. The quarterback, he leads the team with 754 yards rushing. Also, we'll have some other subject to talk about.
You don't know if he's going to run or pass.
Kamara and Lattimore, Rookie of the Year candidates. We'll go into that story. We were supposed to do that the last podcast. We ran out of time, but we'll do it today. Kamara and Lattimore, Rookie of the Year candidates. The case for Cam Jordan, defensive MVP. and that'll and other things in this 1 hour edition of the Sports Coma. So let's dive right on it into it, DC, with a few of the first topics. Break down. Let's look at a few of these things. They face off against Carolina. 3:40 on, of course, Sunday. Going to be a real powerful game. Of course, the Saints blinked. They swept Carolina during the regular season. Now they have to face off against Cam Newton and this team once again for a third time. A lot of people say it's difficult to beat a team 3 times in one season. I say not so much if you're better than that team.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, man. I was like, okay, would you rather play a team that you played twice and you didn't beat? Or would you rather play a team that you played twice and you beat to play them the third time? Obvious answer there, right?
Obvious answer. Obviously,
what's
mentally
so
dominated the team. So what's the flap about it? You know,
this has happened 20 times in the NFL. I looked up the statistics, and 13 out of the 20 times, guess what team wins?
The team
that had the sweep.
Exactly. So that's something else right there, man. Really
right.
big. Here's a few little stacks on the game we'll get into. With the win, New Orleans moved to 9-3, clinching the first winning season since 2013. Of course, we know that. I think Sunday's win with the Saints. Well, let's look at this statistic because this is more valuable here. They currently have. Let's see here. Make sure I got my stats right here. Yeah. So what I'm looking at with Carolina, man, is Carolina's a team. Cam Newton is the top. He has 333 yards. Kind of looked bad early. Came back around. He leads the team in rushing, 754 yards. His top receiver is Devin Funchess, 63 catches. He has 8 touchdowns, 840 yards. Funchess came on so well that the team decided to ship out other huge wide receiver Kelvin Benjamin to Buffalo, who's also in the postseason. So Benjamin couldn't miss for losing. Either way, he was going to get in there. They're not. The thing about Carolina is they're not too good. Bottom 3 in the NFL passing the ball per game, 192 yards a game. Throwing the ball, there you can see where their bread is buttered is through the rushing game, 4th in the NFL. They rush 131 yards a game. Cam Newton scrambling, like I told you, he leads the team in rushing. Then you have McCaffrey and Stewart, those guys all chunking in. The team's averaging offensively almost 23 points a game, good for 12th in the NFL, and giving up 20 points a game, which is good for 11. So they are nearly middle of the pack. But the team is good enough defensively. Really a solid defensive team. Luke Kuechly leads the team with 125 tackles on the season. Mario Addison is the top sack man, although I think Addison might be hurt this game, but he has 11 sacks on the year, 44 tackles to go with him. And, of course, Luke Kuechly leads the team in tackles with 125, and with picks. He has 3 picks on the year as well, so he's Mr. Everything. The matchup has been pretty much coined, the Saints running game against Luke Kuechly and Thomas Davis. If you think about it, DC, looking at Carolina, the Saints hoping to keep keeping Cam Newton contained, not letting him scramble, keeping him in that pocket, and then allowing then trying to huddle that trying to keep that running game in check. What you think about that?
I think you obviously don't want them to run the ball like crazy, but the more, I guess, important thing to watch out for, you don't want them to get both going. So if they're doing pretty decent at the running game, you definitely have to shut the pass game down. And I think that's the formula that has kind of worked for us in beating the Panthers, because obviously they want to be a team that holds on to the ball and keeps it away from us. So if we can stop them from getting a dynamic play, and, you know, they're going to go with their little hold on to the ball philosophy because they know we have a dynamic offense, but we still manage to get a lead or get a score out early, and we don't have to be as concerned with the running game, and that'll be kind of a defense of the running game by how we incorporate our game plan on offense and actually scoring the ball so that you can't allow them to chew up clock, because it's unfair to play the Panthers and have to face Cam Newton and two very good running backs. I know they aren't Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, but Jonathan Stewart and McCaffrey are excellent running backs. I think any NFL team would want to have, except for us. We don't need them.
Well, the way I look at it is Cam Newton and those guys are a terrific mixture. Like I said, he has 754 yards. Jonathan Stewart's not that far behind him with 680 yards. And then you have McCaffrey, who has 435 yards. But he's similar to what our young stud, Alvin Kamara, similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. He had 80 catches for them catching. So he led the team, and by far, like I said, the closest guy to him, well, actually Funchess had 63 receptions. McCaffrey had almost 20 more receptions. Who actually lead the team is McCaffrey, 80 receptions, targeted 113 times, 651 total yards, 5 touchdowns. Funchess had 8 on the season. So if you look at what they're bringing, is they use McCaffrey similar to how we use our Alvin Kamara. You know, he's third in rushing and he's first on the team in reception. So he's a weapon that they have to watch out for too. And that's something that we have to look at as well, because Cam Newton won't beat you passing. Like I said, less than 200 yards through the air, which is 28th in NFL versus the run. We know where their bread's bunning on the running side. So the Saints have to be able to stop that running game. That's what it basically comes down to.
Right, yeah, they do try to incorporate McCaffrey in the same way as we use Alvin Kamara, Darren Stroles, Reggie Bush. You look at Atlanta try to do the same thing as well. They've been the best ones to do it other than us, in my opinion. I don't think it's as effective as the Saints are, but it is effective nonetheless. He only had 500 less yards from scrimmage than Alvin Kamara, but obviously he didn't have the touchdown totals.
No, yeah.
But Devin Funchess, he came on after the Benjamin trade, and like you said, he was the reason that they traded him. So if we can bottle up those two guys, which the latter, Devin Funchess, he actually has a shoulder injury, and he's been limited in practice all week. So he's banged up, and I had him on my fantasy team at one point. He kind of disappeared on me with that shoulder injury, so he ain't been making a lot of noise as of late. So if we can get the banged up Devin Funchess, ball's definitely in our court to slow their offense down.
Yeah, they've been definitely
keep an eye on Cam Newton and force him to make the mistakes.
That's what it comes down to. Because Stewart was the same way. Stewart was banged up as well in the matchup. Throughout the season, he was banged up as well, which they had to bring out McCaffrey more, which kind of revitalized their running and passing attack. Right. They have a back like him there. They had that outside that Curtis. The little wide receiver who was
Curtis
banged up
got hurt. He started to come on. Yeah.
Right. So they had some injuries that kind of
the other little speedster, the Bird. He's also hurt.
You got right. So they
just
kind
had
of
a rash of injuries, man. This would be a totally different team, I believe, with a lot of those guys that they got hurt.
I expect in this game they're going to definitely try to test the Saints secondary, and this is what it basically comes down to. You look at some of the statistics.
We have to mention Greg Olsen, though, man. Greg Olsen came back maybe 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And he had almost a 200-yard game. So
he did, but how effective is going to
put him
Greg
on the
Olsen
shelf and preparing him for the playoffs. So
because the reports I'm getting, I don't think they said he's supposed to play, but he ain't supposed to be doing that.
Get some yards.
Greg Olsen is, from the reports that I'm getting, and I read about 3 or 4 reports on Greg Olsen, is that he'll be a game time decision. So we don't know how effective Greg Olsen's going to be. Right, so they just dinged up all the way around. So we're going to monitor. When we come back, we're about to go into our first break. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk more. I'm going to play some interviews by Sean Payton. It's a 5-minute segment I'm going to play. As Sean Payton had a teleconference over the phone. We're going to play some of that. And Manti Te'o, what do you think about Carolina Panthers? We'll also get into some more of our topics on the other side of the break. So stay with us. You're listening to the Sports Coma Live. What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace spray, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to the poshlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFE, style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Eye View, the new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings, and potential moves. Unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Valley. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Wow, what a huge honor it is to be named NBA 2K18 Legend Edition cover athlete. I really wouldn't be here without the guidance, love, and support of my mom and dad. Also, I'd like to thank my coaches, both college and professional. But most of all, I'd like to thank Kobe Bryant. He was the NBA 2K Legend cover athlete first. He's so awesome and handsome and has really nice natural teeth. Wait, what? I'll be looking at his teeth. This ain't over, Kobe. Payback's gonna be fun.
Let me tell you about a news site that carries the news that you would want to know. News that's not the same as the rest of lamestream media, but a site that lets you know about the most important news on health, economics, tech, entertainment, science, food, sports, world news, positive living, paradigm shift, and a lot more. Go to theposhreportonline.co. That's right, theposhreportonline.co. Learn more. And remember, challenge everything.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma Live. And in this edition, we're previewing that matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints in the Superdome. And guess what, people? It's playoff time. It's playoff time again. And I'm just happy, man, that the Saints are in the marching number of other playoff contenders, winning the NFC South 11-5, although they didn't complete the win over Tampa Bay and basically just back their car up into it. But listen up, man. As long as we got it, we good, we win. It might work out for us in the best that we didn't win that game against Tampa Bay, because that'll climb the Saints up to the 3rd seed, which I'm saying I'm not scared of Minnesota. But if you held the poll of what people you did not want to play, if you was an NFC South team named the New Orleans Saints and you held a poll of what team that you did not want to see in the playoffs on your side, I'm more than certain it will be the Minnesota Vikings. I'm positive it will be the Minnesota Vikings. So with that said, the Saints get the matchup against Carolina at home. Ultimately, it'll put them on a crash course with the injury plague Philadelphia club, who have Nick Foles at the helm. But let's not get too far ahead. Let's not put the carriage before the horse. The Saints, of course, have to take care of business against them dreaded Carolina Panthers, which they've swept them for the season. But this is the playoffs. It's a whole nother atmosphere when you're facing a team as resilient as the Carolina Panthers have been all year long. Despite the injuries, they're still able to put together 11 wins, and that's where they are as well. Now, looking at the Saints defense, because that's going to be the question this time around before we get into some of our interviews. Saints defense have to do better than what the hell they did against Tampa Bay when they allowed Tampa Bay to basically run the ball up and down the field. They allowed Tampa Bay to throw themselves into that win as opposed to Saints blitz 4 or 3 guys and dropped everybody in coverage, and Tampa Bay still moved the ball, beating them in the last second touchdown, similar to how Notre Dame beat the Tigers. You can't allow that type of garbage to happen ever again. You can't do that. Ken Crawley before Milwaukee. I used that early in the season because he started, of course, he got a lot better. But this time around, we can't have that kind of foolish nonsense. Of course, you could put the blame on Marcus Williams, too, because he was late getting over there to help. But Crawley got beat like a drum. You can't surrender those type of plays in the playoffs with all that injury because momentum is key. Looking at some of the statistics dealing with the Saints defenders, Von Bell, believe it or not, was the top tackler on his team. Von Bell had 83 tackles from the safeties position to lead the Saints.
That's good and bad at the same time.
It is. It is. Because that you're absolutely right. That's kind of funny. That you say that, DC, because with Vaughn, you expect a guy like your middle linebackers to have that kind of attraction, which Craig Robertson is right there. Craig had 80 tackles on the year, total tackles on the year. He had 80, so he was 3 away from Vaughn. But Vaughn was,
and he didn't start probably till week. Well, man, he was starting the whole season, but he didn't start
off and on. He didn't get those start the
time at middle,
exactly,
significant time.
Right,
talk about week 6 or 7.
But the young safeties for us really showed up big. Von Bell led the team in tackles. Not only that, 83 tackles, 4.5 sacks on the year for Von as well. I don't think he had an interception this year. I don't think he did. I don't think he had an interception this year. No, I don't think so. But
he had 2 forced fumbles, though. Von Bell ain't much of a interception.
No, he didn't have any interceptions. That's right. Craig Robertson, of course, had 80 tackles on the year, finished with 2 interceptions as well. And then you had Marcus Williams, the rookie, had 73 total tackles. And, of course, he had those interceptions, 2 of which. But Marcus finished with 4 interceptions on the year. So that's not bad at all. With Marshawn Lattimore's 5. So, wow, man, you speaking about this rookie class. I mean, we give so much credit to Kamara and Marshawn Lattimore, and rightfully so, deservingly so. But Marcus Williams, man, his production, 73 tackles. He had 4 interceptions on the year. I mean, that's big for a rookie at that position, and huge. And then a lot of love for Craig Robertson, of course, Cameron Jordan as well, who had a stellar year, a career year as far as sacks are concerned. But before we get into the rest of our topics, let's play a little something here by Coach Sean Payton, a teleconference call that he had yesterday, breaking down Carolina.
Looking at the Panthers, I mean, they've obviously had some, really big wins, but then a couple tough losses. I mean, can you tell why they've been inconsistent at times this year?
Well, listen, they just won 11. What did they end up with? A total 11 games. And I think, despite injury, I think they played real well. I mean, look, they get the Patriots on the road, they get a win. I mean, it's the NFL. I'd have a hard time saying they've been inconsistent. I mean, obviously, we'd be the same way in our losses. We didn't play well enough last weekend. Early in the season, we struggled, and out in Los Angeles, I think part of it is injury, when all of a sudden you lose a couple key players like they have, and then getting them back. But when you study this team closely, the last 2 months, which is what we're facing, they've done a real good job and kind of weathered some of the injury bugs.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
The NFL, as you mentioned, there is forever about the next man up. But when you look at your roster, like the last 3 games, what do you think you've been missing in the pass rush without Trey Hendrickson in the lineup?
Well, listen, I think it's a combination good training camp. I'm hopeful he's back for this game, and I know that will help us, and will help in that rotation.
Thank you.
Sean, with all the injuries on the offensive line, what are some of the keys from a coaching standpoint just to be able to handle that kind of turnover week after week?
Well, one is having versatility at the tackle position. It's not often you have a guy like Andrews that can be a guard but can go to tackle. We were fortunate to draft Ramczyk, when we did, and then that's really paid off, because when you start the season with Streep and Tehran, and then you're playing a good portion of your games with a rookie who's done a real good job. He's played over at left, he's played at right, and Pete. I mean, having 4 tackles to start the season, I think, has allowed some of that flexibility.
And then just Dan, his ability to get those guys ready week after week. What are some of the positive traits you see from him as a coach?
He's a good teacher, number one. That's first and foremost. I think he communicates well. I think he's passionate about what he does. I've worked with him for a long time. He's doing a great job with those guys.
That's a little bit on Sean Payton's teleconference that he held Thursday, where he was giving credit where credit's due to a lot of things. I like the fact that he made mention of the offensive line being able to have the ability to be able to move guys like Andrews Pete, who's been sensational, man. I mean,
yeah,
we talk about guys with our current rookie class, but we go back and look at Andrews Pete, and of course we know Ryan Ramczyk played every snap. Only him and Max Unger did that the entire season, over 1,000 snaps for Unger and Ramczyk, who didn't miss a beat. Played left tackle, right tackle. The man was just spectacular. I don't understand how he don't get any consideration as well.
He gets honorable mentions when they talk about our rookie class, and you check the top 50 or 25 rookies. Ramczyk is always up in the top 10 or inside of the top 20. So I think a lot of people know, but he doesn't get a lot of consideration when it comes to, I guess, all tackles around the league, and I think he should.
He should.
The 85 PPR, man, that's pretty damn good.
That's really good. We're looking at, and then it's Andrews Pete, like Peyton was alluded to. It's the fact that Andrews Pete does it all. The guy moved from left guard, he played right guard, right tackle, wherever they need him. But since he's been on the left side playing either left guard or left tackle, he's been stupendous. Of course, you had the injury that occurred to Teron Armstead, where he weren't able to play, and you were able to shift Andrews Pete to the left tackle position, sliding C.O. Calamente into the left guard position, and the Saints just keep it rolling. And that's big ups to the offensive line coach, big ups to them to have the depth to be able to move pieces around, because that line has been banged up as well. And still, if we look at the fact that Mark Ingram had a career year, he had over 1,124 yards this year, Ingram. That's 5 yards a carry for Mark Ingram, 12 rushing touchdowns for 230 yards. You add Alvin Kamara in there, 120 carries for 728 yards, which to me, that's a 6-yard average carry. How did you do that if it wasn't for your offensive line? So that's where we got to give credit to where the credit is. We got about to go into our next break. When we come back, we'll finish up on some of these interviews that we have. We'll get some more into the rest of our topics. DC is going to give us the injury report. We're going to get into some more news and notes and information on this Carolina Panthers versus Saints Wildcard game. Stay with us. You're listening to the Sports Coma Live Edition.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
Check out the Crown They Ass World podcast with three kings covering all the news and issues that affect you and the ones you care about, only on the PRO Media Network.
Hello, New Orleans. You're listening to The Sports Coma, your new #1 podcast on everything Saints, Pelicans, and a lot more. And now, here's your host, Big Q and the guys.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma Live. We're back at it, talking about the Saints, previewing the Saints against the Panthers in the Dome, coming up Sunday afternoon. The Saints, of course, are the division champions. Once again, that's a beautiful thing. I'm very enthused for the fact that the playoffs are here. The playoffs are here, man. It's a whole nother Chris, it's almost like it's a holiday season for us. And what would be more important in to help a great move for the Saints to win and sweep Carolina out for the entire season, beat them 3 times in a row, to move on to what more than likely would be a cold game against Philadelphia in Philadelphia. So, and at the same time, my philosophy is I'm going to root on those Atlanta Falcons. You heard me. You heard me right. I am rooting for the Atlanta Falcons to beat whoever they're going to beat on the other side and keep winning until they face us in the NFC Championship game, which will give the Saints NFC Championship game home in the Dome. So keep winning Atlanta and keep winning New Orleans. Eventually we'll meet in the Superdome for the chance to go back to the Super Bowl. And what greater feel, or what greater ending to a story on the season could you get besides with the Saints on their way to another Super Bowl win in Minnesota against whomever? Who cares?
I think
but about beating Atlanta and shutting Atlanta down to do it. We beat Atlanta in the NFC Championship game, stop the crown NFC champs, and go on to win the Super Bowl. That is the perfect backdrop to a Super Bowl season. Wouldn't you say so, DC?
I can't deny that, but I don't want to see Atlanta be that successful, to be honest. I want to see them go one and done.
To be honest with you, if it wasn't for the Falcons being so successful,
to hold
Carolina would have ultimately won the division.
Deficiencies that they have from the last Super Bowl loss that they have, I would like to see that continue to go on and play out and go on into the next season, man. Because let's be honest, Atlanta is a good team, and I'm not gonna say they're not. And the
Saints
defense
owe Atlanta a lot of credit, bro.
I think they're a few pieces away from looking like that Seattle defense.
Saints owe them credit.
I don't see them build any momentum for going forward for the next, 4 or 5 years that we're gonna have to deal with the players they already have.
If it wasn't for Atlanta, the Saints would have not won the NFC South this year. If Carolina beat Atlanta, the Saints would be playing in Carolina. So Atlanta helped them out that last game because the Saints didn't take care of business.
They didn't do that because they like the Saints. If Atlanta wouldn't have won that game, they wouldn't have been in the playoffs.
That is not the point. The point is that your team didn't take care of business, but somebody else did, and you benefited from it.
Yes.
Bottom line.
Yes. Either way, we were gonna be there. And honestly, I think either way, it would have benefited the Saints, because if they would have lost the division title and still been in the playoffs, I really think that would have pissed them off. And that might have been what they needed, to go on the road and play a bunch of teams. So either way, I think it would have still been in the best interest of the Saints. Just kind of put themselves in a good position based on what they did in the first, not the first 2 games of the season, but everything thereafter.
All right. Well, that sounds good. That's good analysis. Let's move on to another analysis from Manti Te'o, talking about some of the moments of this season and getting ready to face against Carolina. Of course, Manti been injured pretty much every year since he's been in the league. This is his first full year, full regular season of not being hurt, and it actually was a brilliant move. But here's Manti Te'o talking about these treasured moments.
Manti, just talk about your feelings coming into the playoffs.
I'm excited. I'm excited. We were just talking about it. I had the privilege of playing in the playoffs my rookie year, and that was in 2013. So it's been a while, and so I definitely understand, what a privilege it is to play in the playoffs, and I'm really excited.
That happens to coincide with the last time this team was in. Did you kind of get a false sense of security playing in the playoffs in your first season from a standpoint of, well, we've done it once, and you kind of get the feeling, well, okay, we'll be back soon?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. You talking to a young kid. It was my first year in the league, and I make it to the playoffs, and there's guys like Dwight Freeney and Antonio Gates and Eric Weddle telling me, hey man, you gotta really treasure these moments and take advantage of them, because they don't come around, as often as you'd like. And I'm sitting there as a 22-year kid. I'm like, man, I'm a rookie and we just made it, so I don't know what the big deal is, but it's been 4 years and I finally made it back. So I definitely understand what they were saying back then, and I definitely think that our rookies this year are a lot more mature than I was at that time, and I think they understand what's at stake, and they're ready to go.
What are the problems Carolina is going to present? We know about Cam Newton. He's going to have back Greg Olsen. We know about the running game.
It all starts with Cam, and they have great weapons around them, but it all goes through him. And, we don't know specifically what they're going to do, what plays they're going to do. It is a playoff, so anything can happen. But, we all understand who it goes through. We understand who his weapons are. And, we just got to execute. We have 11 guys on the field, and if all 11 can win their one-on-one matchups, we should be good.
I know it's not vogue to reflect on the regular season, but the last game of the season, do you guys feel like you've cleaned up the things that you wanted to clean up?
Honestly, the last game of the season, I wish it would have went the other way, and us win. But looking back at it, I think it's probably the best thing for us heading into the playoffs. It showed us that if we don't prepare the way we're supposed to prepare, and not saying that we didn't prepare, the way we're supposed to prepare, but I think that we understood that anybody at any time can lose. And going into the playoffs, it's win you go on, you lose you go home. And definitely that last game showed us that, hey, we have to show up, we got to prepare, and we got to go out there and we got to execute the way we know how to execute. And I think looking back on it, like I said, it was probably the best thing that could happen to us.
Manti Te'o, a man of wisdom and knowledge, he made the statement that it's probably the best thing that happened to the Saints that they lost against Tampa Bay, because it was an eye-opener. It was a wake-up experience going into the playoffs, and that's a great point.
That sounds just like what I was saying.
That's exactly. You must have listened to Manti Te'o's interview before we started playing. So, but that's wisdom right there from Manti, who we often don't. We play a lot of people, usually Elvin Kamara, these other guys, the big names, the Breezes, all those guys. But Manti Te'o got a little shine today because he's been playing lights out. Craig Robinson, big ups to Craig Robinson. Big ups to Manti. Big ups to Von Bell. Big ups to Marcus Williams. Big ups to Cam. All the regular guys that do it well. Big ups to even Ken
Sean
Kroll.
Lattimore.
Yeah, but Ken Kroll, it deserves.
Forget about him.
Right, but they're getting ups. You know, those guys.
George Johnson.
Big ups to those guys. The support
amazing to say he was basically at home, probably watching football on TV 3 weeks ago.
Excellent, man. That's wisdom there. But let's move forward in some of our topics. The Reggie Bush topic, DC, that Reggie is going to be on the field. I guess he's going to have a bat running on the field. Several other Saints are going to be in some kind of capacity helping amp that crowd for that big playoff game, the first playoff game here in a while. What do you think about Reggie Bush coming back to Big Easy to lead the Saints out on the field? What do you think about that?
I think it's an amazing thing, Reggie Bush coming back, but I think the bat is a bad idea, and here's why. It worked in 2009, and it was a wonderful thing, and I think the shock and the element of surprise is what pulled it all off. I would like to see Reggie back and out on the field to kind of make that memorable, what we did in 2009, that first game. And I don't think it was a wild card round because we had a bye that year, I believe. But that was our first game of the playoffs. I would love to see something else done. And if you know Saints Nation, everybody listening, you know Sean Payton can get pretty creative with his motivational techniques. So I would like to see him pull something else out of the hat. Nothing bigger than the mock funeral he did when he first came here. But I guess something maybe along the lines is as impactful as that, or as the bat move that propelled us to go ahead on and win the Super Bowl. So I like to see a different tradition brought out instead of just the bat. Or maybe they could incorporate the bat with something else.
Well, we know based on what Sean Payton's capable of is that they're going to definitely do something that's going to get everybody up in this game. But let's take a look at this. Let's look at our injury report. You can kind of give us
didn't finish the game the way
our
we
injury report on what's going on
all right.
with the team.
But for this injury report, y'all, we got all good news because all I can talk about is people who coming back. There wasn't no game played yesterday. So here we go. You got Olmstead. Guess what? He was practicing this week. Olmstead for maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks wasn't even practicing. So that is a very positive sign that he can not only come back in this game, but be able to stay in the game. Because he'll show up, come in and play a quarter, and then get hurt. We don't need that in the playoffs. We need him to be alive for this 4-game stretch we're about to go on. And then you have Trey Hendrickson, who's no longer limited or anything. He's back at full practice, which is amazing. Everyone knows that we've had defensive issues as of late. We're signing people. We got D tackles playing out there, so that is a huge move to get that guy back. And he was playing at a pretty high level as a rookie for us this whole season on spot duty. So I like to see what he can do with a bigger role. And you have Who-Man. Who-Man is finally out of the concussion protocol. Yep, that's right. We finally have a tight end, y'all. No more looking at Josh Hill doing whatever the hell he's been doing. So Who-Man getting back out there, I think that's a huge addition to the run game. A lot of people are maybe not aware or paying attention, but Who-Man is going to do his thing. And you got Seiko Calamente, and y'all know how valuable he is to us, and he's back, the fill-in specialist. So that'll be our injury report, man, and all the guys that you wishing were back, they are.
That's our injury report. Thank you, DC. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to get into the rest of our topics about the Saints tight end issues. We'll talk about that. The D-line, is it a problem? Cam Jordan, is the case for him being the defensive MVP? And we'll talk about a little bit of everything else on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Sports Coma live. Stay with us.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is The Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Clear, clean, great-tasting filtered water. We're all thirsty for it. But in the U.S. alone, an estimated 2.5 million plastic bottles are added to the environment each year in search of the perfect drink of water. There has to be a better solution, and there is. Crystal Quest, a leader in the manufacturing of water filtration technology, has been providing clean, drinkable water for 20 years. Crystal Quest has been recognized by such leaders as Consumers Digest, Dr. Oz, and Colin Ingram's The Water Drinking Book, offering our customers the cleanest and most environmental-friendly drinking water at a rating of high purity. With Crystal Quest's water filtration technology, you can rest assured that your water will be crystal clear. Contact our network of authorized distributors and join our thousands of satisfied customers.
Just log into theposhlifestyle.com. Once again, that is theposhlifestyle.com.
Get all the latest news and updates from your New Orleans Pelicans at the Pelicans Argue. The new and official Pelicans Daily Journal, covering everything Pelicans.
Attention, everyone.
Get breakdown on games, free agent signings, and potential moves. Unbiased opinions and straight up facts with statistical analysis from G Balance. Go to www.thesportsdaily.com/Pelicans-I-View.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Best funny sports podcast in the country.
Welcome back to the Sports Coma Live, and we just covering everything dealing with the Saints and Panthers coming into this Wildcard matchup. Saints knocked off the Panthers twice this year, and they're going for the trifecta, and we know they're going to get it done. DC just went over the injury report, gave us some good news about Taron Armstead and Trey Hendrickson might be able to come back in there and help out. Those are big, very big guys to have back, and I mean that literally and figuratively. But to have those guys come back at this time and help the Saints out is major, especially at this time of the year when so many teams out there are banged up. Pretty much everybody's dinged up. And the Saints did a pretty decent job of keeping their core guys healthy enough to contribute to carry the team and to hopefully will be a deep playoff run. DC, let's attack some of these issues going into the final segment of the podcast. Well, we talked a lot about we just covered the tight end with Who-Man coming back. Of course, we had that uncertainty with Josh Hill. With Josh Hill, who I'm not really that confident in, but I do like the steadiness of Who-Man.
I kind of wish he would have went to Chicago when they wanted to.
Yeah, me too. That's true. But I was like, they gave him a little too much money, and maybe they should have let Ryan Pace and them have him when he wanted them. But something tells me it's going to work out on the back end. But Who-Man's coming back. He obviously is going to be that guy. Of course, they did bring John Phillips back, the veteran, who's mostly used as a blocking back center, similar to what Who-Man was used. Let's take a look at this issue, and then we'll bounce and move into some of these other issues. Is a tight end situation going to be a problem? Of course, we get Who-Man back, but will it be a problem in the passing game? I expect in the running game we got some really good blocking tight ends, but what you think about that? Will it be an issue in the tight ends in the passing game?
In the passing game have been an issue all season, even when we had Kobe Fleener. People like to think of him as a red zone target. Man, he really wasn't that. I mean, he was decent. He's better than what he was last year. I give him credit for that. He had little injury problems. But tight end in the passing game has been problems all year, so I don't see that drastically improving with Who-Man. But what Who-Man can do is he can block. he blocks well. With Human out there, and when they put Brandon Coleman out there as well, you have two deceptive extra blockers that a lot of people don't pay attention to.
That's true. Human, he's a slick catcher. He can catch the ball. He ain't the best. He ain't the world's best catcher. But let me tell you something. Human will slip out there.
Josh Hill, in my opinion.
He'll slip out there in the back after giving some solid blocks, and he'll catch a touchdown or two for you. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints know that they're not going to be game planning for something like that with Human, and he might be able to stick it to him in the end zone. So I mean, that'll be an issue. Let's look at the defensive line. Of course, we had all these issues. We talked about in the previous segment. Gave big ups to George Johnson, and a few other guys. Trey Hendrickson is supposed to play in this game, according to the injury report. El Kadim Muhammad. The injuries, we had some injuries to the defensive line, but we didn't quite get to Jameis Winston in that game. Do you think that might be an issue in this game with an elusive quarterback like Cam Newton with the defensive line injury issues?
I don't think it's necessarily a big issue because we have Cam Jordan. If you paid attention, Cam Jordan, for whatever reason, he likes to win the battle of the Cams, and he always finds a way to get the Cam.
Yeah.
At least once.
That's true.
And he knows how to contain Cam. I think Cam Jordan does an excellent job in containing Cam in his run game, and we play good defensive end contain on him. He doesn't usually torch us like crazy in a running game, but you can't stop Cam Newton from getting a few runs here or there. And you do have a deceptive guy by the name of Sheldon Rankins, who I noticed last time we played Carolina. Cam did get a 29 or 30-yard run, I think, or something like that. Guess who tackled him? I D-tackled Sheldon Rankins. So I think we have just enough, even with the injury concerns, to be able to contain Cam Newton and slow up that running game.
That's absolutely the case. Cam Jordan loves to play against Cam Newton. He's the second most sacked quarterback, that Cam Jordan. So I guess the winner of the Cam battle will be the guy with the most power. Whoever has the most power out of the Cams will win. So a little motor joke
got
for
the
those.
most horsepower. Huh?
Well, let's look at this. And speaking of Cam Jordan, let's make the case for defensive league MVP for Cam Jordan. Cam's played outstanding this year. He's been a fantastic force as usual. But a lot of people saying Cam played well, but that's recognized on a level locally that follows such a man. Now, you start hearing some of these guys across the league tout out Cam's praise. But this year, he didn't have the big 15 sack year. He had 13, which is a half a sack better than what he got back in 2013. Right, fourth in the league. But he was doubled a lot. Some games he was tripled. And he did have an outstanding year. He didn't have more, he had 48 total tackles, 13 sacks on the year. But let's make the case for defensive league MVP. Of course, the guy's going to say, what about the guy from Dallas, Lawrence, and a few other guys?
I mean, let's be real.
But what is Cam? Let's make the case for Cam.
Team, which one do you want?
62 combined
what
tackles.
What guy would you want? I mean, we just have to be realistic about that, and we're just judging from basically this year. I don't think anybody's going to say Lawrence over Cam Jordan.
No, Lawrence is the guy that really this was his first year coming out party. He had a double sack year. Prior to that, he was pretty quiet on the front. But Cam's been the guy that's been always there, in some capacity. 13 sacks this year. Last year, he had 7.5. Prior to that year, he had 10, then 7.5, then 12. So his thing is, he has singled and doubled and singled and doubled. And then this year he had a great year. Now combined tackles, he had 62 overall. That's second best in his career thus far.
I mean, come on, man.
So he's played lights out.
62 overall tackles.
Right. 2
forced fumbles.
Yes.
An interception for a touchdown.
Yes.
12 pass deflections. And I'm looking for his tackles for a loss. I'm sure his tackles for a loss are up in the 30s. I mean, that's great numbers, man.
That's excellent numbers.
Really, really good numbers,
that's
man.
Excellent numbers.
That's approaching on J.J. Watt territory, but J.J. Watt would do a lot of that and also chip in with about 19 or 20 sacks.
Yeah, he's just
Cam ain't quite got 19 or 20 sacks.
No,
but
J.J. Watt,
everything
that's
else
something different.
is J.J. Watt-esque.
Right. Except the sack numbers, the ridiculous sack numbers.
Yeah, he about 5 sacks short. Right. Of a J.J. Watt defensive player of the year.
But if Cam has been there, I mean, if Cam, every time Cam got there, he got a sack or half a sack, he would have at least 20 sacks on the year because he's always back there. So that's the case for Cam Jordan. Let's move into the rookie battle for rookie of the year. Of course, we're gonna know this real soon. Alvin Kamara, the outstanding rookie. That just does it all. Mr. Do everything for the Saints. He had a 160-yard punt return against Tampa Bay. The Saints lost that game, but that damn sure wasn't the fault of one Alvin Kamara. He played his butt off in that game. He, of course, is who a lot of people consider with 728 total yards and 81 receptions. I mean, it's crazy.
Insane,
yeah, he's my hands down. And it's time for everybody to start voting anyway. So go and vote for Alvin Kamara because he's obviously, to me, the rookie of the year candidate. Lights down. And Marshawn Lattimore, defensively, to me, is the defensive rookie of the year. Yet, fantastic day. So what do you think about that?
I'll say he's an MVP candidate. Maybe he shouldn't win it with Todd Gurley's season. Todd Gurley was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time convincing people to get.
He definitely should be an MVP candidate.
1,500
yards, from scrimmage, and then he has 13 touchdowns. I wonder if that's even. Did they add the kick return touchdowns? You're not even adding the kick return yardage he has, which probably put him up around 1,800 total yards. I mean that's pretty serious for a rookie.
Yes,
and you split time with another running back.
He did. He wasn't even a feature back in that role and still got those guarding numbers. And then the combined fact that both runnings.
Yards than probably Antonio Brown, who everybody said was the best receiver this year.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Absolutely insane.
Right.
Marshawn Lattimore, 52 total tackles on the year. Of course, he had those 5 interceptions. Man played his butt off. He had 18 pass deflections. 18.
That is insane, man.
That's crazy, man. That means
I don't think he's gonna have that many next year because he ain't gonna be throwing over there like that.
But you can think about the ceiling on this guy to be a all-pro in his first year. Could you imagine without injury what this man is going to be going for?
A Hall of Famer.
This is awesome.
He played at a Pro Bowl level his first year, man.
His first year.
Who's done that?
Only the best.
Marcus Peters is the only guy I could think of recently who's done that. And going back prior to him, it's all basically Hall of Fame.
Right, Hall of Famers. Deion Sanders, Aeneas Williams, Rod Woodson, Eric Allen, and guys like that. Let's hit this last question before we go out. Of course, we have about 2 minutes left in the show. Let's go into our prediction segment and talk about who is going to win this game and how, and we're going to put points to it. Go ahead, DC. You first. Who wins? What's the score? And how do they do it?
The Saints win this game 31-27. Carolina gets a garbage time touchdown, get a little closer, and we go on to victory, man. I believe it'll be a close game. I don't think it'll be like the other games, playoff atmosphere. So they're going to come with everything they got. It's going to be a game that go down to the wire, maybe the last 3 minutes, 31-27.
31-27, you heard it. I'm going to go with this score. I'm going to think the Saints going to end up winning this game 28-24. I think the Saints get it done because they ruffle Cam Newton's feathers a little much, forcing him to turn the ball over. It's going to be a tough day in the Dome. A lot of mistakes made by the Carolina Panthers, but the Saints ultimately pull off 28-24 to sweep them on the season, move on, in large part because the Saints run the ball. They're efficient with the pass. They have a balanced attack. The defense stops the run, and we go 28-24. So that's my pick on 28-24. So thank y'all for listening to the Sports Coma Live Edition. We go live usually Mondays at 4 and Mondays at 12, Fridays at 4 o'clock. So please join us here, and you can also comment and the like. So join our social media pages as well as Sports Coma, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for joining us. Peace.
You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
At the Posh Lifestyle, I go there for all my health needs. They offer great deals on organics, water filters, healing magnetics, healing crystals, clothing, books, DVDs, vitamins, and a lot more. They even have free shipping when you spend over $100 on most products. With secure online ordering, fast service, and great products, I save some money, and I'm improving my health doing it. It's a win-win. So do what I did. Go to shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. That's shop.theposhlifestyle.com. So upgrade your lifestyle with the Posh Lifestyle and love what you do.
Let me tell you about a news site that carries the news that you would want to know. News that's not the same as the rest of lamestream media, but a site that lets you know about the most important news on health, economics, tech, entertainment, science, food, sports, world news, positive living, paradigm shift, and a lot more. Go to theposhreportonline.co.